This video is brought to you by Iron Fist, Marvel's latest Netflix series, which is available right now on Netflix, courtesy of Marvel. This is a real sponsor. I don't know how, but just, it is. I don't know. Okay, so we've got the release of the 5th Netflix series that introduces the final defender, Danny Rand, as the Iron Fist. And as always, there's a lot to unpack in the just under 13 hours of television as far as the Easter eggs and references go. So let's get into as many as we can, including origins, powers, new characters, returning characters, locations, and links to the wider MCU concerning the other series and films. There's a lot of stuff to get through. Too much, if I'm honest. Plus, there's a lot of Chinese names that I can't pronounce. This should be fun. Also at the end, instead of there being a Loot Crate giveaway, as per usual, I'm going to be giving away Season 1 of Daredevil on Blu-ray. But more on that later. And also spoilers for everything. Okay, let's kick things off with origins. Danny Rand's origin remains pretty much intact. Plane crash, raised by monks. Raised in the loosest of terms. Has to fight a dragon, then gets the power of the Iron Fist. This show, though, it does omit a couple of things. The dragon itself, for one. Also, he's supposed to plunge his hands into its molten heart to receive his power. The symbol itself on his chest remains the same. Again, it's not a tattoo, it's actually a burn. And he's also referred to a number of times as a living weapon, which he is often called in the comics. His powers also, they seem to be pretty much the same. Punching, healing, all of that, though not yet at full capacity. Danny Rand is also the latest in a long line of Iron Fists. We even see the previous one, who could very well be Orson Randall from the comics, in some archive footage. And although he doesn't have his costume, there are hints towards it. His yellow and green robes match its colours, as does that bowl that he made for Joy, which isn't very good if I'm being perfectly honest. A number of Marvel comic book characters previously unseen have also been introduced. Now, I won't bore you with the details, except that being said, I will, because I kind of have to. It's a requirement of these videos. Okay, we've got Harold Meacham, pretty much the same backstory, kills his business partner, Wendell Rand, in order to take over the company. Ward Meacham is traditionally his brother, but here it's changed to his son, with his daughter Joy remaining the same in both incarnations. Colleen Wing makes an appearance, seen in an outfit somewhat resembling her white comic book costume. She refers to herself as the Daughter of the Dragon, and funnily enough, her and Misty Knight, who's seen in Luke Cage, eventually form a duo called the Daughters of the Dragon. Davos, a man in the comics who also believes he should have become the Iron Fist, rocks up. In this series, it's said that he wasn't chosen to battle the Undying Dragon, but that's been slightly altered, as traditionally, he makes an attempt, but is beaten and returns disgraced. Yu Tai is mentioned, ruler of Kunlun, along with Lei Kung the Thunderer, master of Danny Rand, and someone we do see in a kind of flashback fever dream situation. When Rand is forced into fighting a tournament for Madame Gao, it's not stated explicitly, but one of his combatants appears to be the Bride of Nine Spiders. Bakuto turns up, who's also a member of the Hand in the comics, but there he's more of a crime lord than a mystic man of mysticism. Zhao Cheng, the drunk guarding the drug facility in China, has had more of a prominent and dangerous role in the comics. He's taken it upon himself over the decades to ensure that no Iron Fist lives past the age of 33. That's so his master can steal a dragon egg or something. I don't know, what do you want from me? There's so many comics! Dr. Paul Edmonds is the name of a character that appears in Avengers 227, and although not a Marvel character, but a bit of a bloody character in real life, Stan Lee is seen on a poster in episode 13. There he is. What a bloody legend. Oh, and under Danny Rand's father's desk, we also get some classic Marvel monsters, Orgo and Mangog, I think. Couldn't find any of the others, but if you can, that's pretty good. A couple of new but familiar locations from the comics show up. Red Hook is mentioned, which is also a place that Hydra once resided, as well as where Captain America once lived. Birch Psychedelic Hospital makes an appearance. Wait, did I say psychedelic? Psychiatric. And we hear a lot about, then very briefly see, the mystical lost city of Kunlun. But then it's gone. It's magic, so, it'll probably be back. Unless it, slid off the side of the mountain because it wasn't nailed down properly. There's quite a few callbacks to previous Marvel Netflix series. Claire Temple again makes an appearance to patch up those shot and stabbed and to tell the protagonist that they're acting like a dickhead. Jerry Hogarth from Jessica Jones returns, again played by Carrie-Anne Moss. Karen Page is mentioned in passing, who's still writing for the New York Bulletin. The Dogs of Hell are referred to. They're kind of like the MCU version of the Hells Angels. The names of the companies Roxxon and Midland Circle are spoken in passing. And we get the return of a few of those fictional news outlets that show up in everything. And it's not confirmed, but seemingly the same method used to bring people back from the dead that was seen in Daredevil Season 2 is used to bring back Harold Meacham. And again, this also isn't confirmed, but it seemed as if the Hand were going to drain Colleen Wing to bring somebody else back. Potentially Elektra, who was killed and then put in that, that big old jar. Madame Gao is back, again playing a prominent role, though it's still not 100% clear who exactly she is. All that will probably be revealed in the Defenders. And it also doesn't appear to be the case that she's the leader of the Hand, as there's mention of another person higher up. The other Defenders aren't seen, but they are referenced a number of times. Claire Temple says, "Sweet Christmas," Luke Cage's catchphrase.
Sweet Christmas.
She's also shown to be corresponding with him as he's currently incarcerated. Jessica Jones is alluded to be the one who compiled all the incriminating evidence against the other board members of Rand Enterprises, as the person responsible for that is said to be good at her job when she's sober.
She was worth every penny when she was sober.
There's also some less subtle references, with Madame Gao calling out Daredevil and Luke Cage specifically.
The devil of Hell's Kitchen. The man with unbreakable skin.
I think also Claire Temple at one point gives Danny Rand one of Luke Cage's t-shirts with a bullet hole in it. And of course, as always, there's mention of other characters from the films, which often seems to be the case, but I don't think that's ever worked in reverse. I mean, have you ever heard Thor go, "Hey, what's with that guy dressed as a devil beating up people in a hallway? Is he with us? What is that?" The incident is again nodded towards, the incident being the time that aliens attacked New York. When I heard it referenced, I thought, seriously, again, they're still talking about that. It's been like 5 years. That being said, if aliens did fly through a portal in the sky, it's probably something that people, that it would come up. Harold Meacham aims to explain away his return from the dead by saying there's been advances made in cryotherapy. I don't think this is a direct reference, or even potentially a reference at all, but it could be a nod to Bucky being frozen since World War II. That being said, this is a universe where that is possible. So maybe cryogenic technology is slowly becoming more mainstream. This one is also probably a coincidence, but Danny Rand is seen using his iPod from the early 2000s. That's a bit of a loose connection to the way Peter Quill still has his vintage Walkman from the 80s. This one is also probably a coincidence, but the name on Danny Rand's passport, the fake one he uses to get back in the country, is John Anderson, which is the same name as a character from the Spider-Man comics who was Peter Parker's neighbor. Though, that's a fairly common name, so who knows? The Hulk is also mentioned, and he's said to be a bit of a YouTube sensation.
And you have more YouTube views than that incredible green guy.
So good on him. Getting those Google AdSense dollars. Good on you, mate. Okay, so we've got a few bits and pieces left over before I wrap this up. We get another Wu-Tang Clan member who has had a hand in these Netflix series. Method Man appears in Luke Cage as himself, and RZA actually directed episode 6 of Iron Fist. He also directed and starred in the 2012 movie The Man with the Iron Fists. Coincidence? Most likely not, I'd imagine. Frank N. Stein is what Harold Meacham's name comes up as when he calls his son, presumably because Frankenstein was also raised from the dead. Sorry, no, that was Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein was the name of the scientist, so I guess that would mean that Harold Meacham has created Ward, and Ward's the monster? Metaphors! Plus Pete's Dragon is mentioned, which is actually another property owned by Disney. The only thing available concerning the Iron Fist online in this universe is both the clothing line and the beer. And those are actually real things. And finally, Harold Meacham says that when this is all over, he wants to visit Australia as he's never been there. Funny story! David Wenham, who plays him, is actually from Australia. So there you go. That's the power of acting. He was able to say that he'd never been to Australia, despite the fact that the actor who played him had actually been to and lived in Australia. That's the power of acting. Crafting worlds and characters. It's remarkable. Alright, time for that Daredevil giveaway thing, which is of course to celebrate the release of Iron Fist, available now on Netflix. The final Defender making his appearance leading up to the Defenders TV series, which is due to arrive the second half of this year. Okay, so the idea is I'm going to give one away here and one on my podcast, The Weekly Planet, which some of you may already know about. The competition works thusly. It's unnecessarily complicated. I don't know why we did it this way, but hey. Okay, so you got to post to my Twitter handle, Mr. Sunday Movies, the hashtag Iron Fist. That's with 4 eyes. 1 at the start, then 3 in the middle. And with that, it could be a piece of related fan art, a photo, a video, a logo, a joke, a meme, whatever. Now, the reason it's that hashtag is because I believe, like many, that the character should yell Iron Fist whenever he punches something. It just seems right. Now, a bunch of people have already done some really creative stuff with this. It's been super impressive, but I just want to stress something. Do not light your hand or hands on fire. I say that because people have already done that. And sure, it's cool and rad, and I'm genuinely impressed if I'm honest. But I just don't want anybody to burn their hands off. If you have already lit your hands on fire, you are not disqualified. But if you do this from this point on, your entry will not be counted because I don't want to be responsible for all the terrible things that will inevitably happen if people keep doing this. So please, do not light yourself on fire. The winner will be announced next week. In the meantime, here's the winner of last week's Loot Crate. As I said, the Blu-ray competition will be running this week in its place, but that'll be back next week. But I would be curious to know if I've missed any Easter eggs of note from Iron Fist. So if you saw any, or have a favorite, or have any thoughts on Iron Fist in general, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Also, if you like podcasts, on my podcast, The Weekly Planet, we're going to be talking all things Iron Fist on this Monday's episode. The good, the bad, everything in between. I have many thoughts, so many thoughts. That's linked below if you care. But thanks for watching this video though. I appreciate it. Take care.